Blue.
Tomorrow is November the 25th, a day referred to as White Ribbon Day to mark the United Nations International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. Many MPs today are wearing the white ribbon as a personal pledge to always speak out against violence towards women and children. The story of the white ribbon has its origins in Canada, when in 1991 a group of Canadian men began a campaign to urge men to speak out against violence against women. The White Ribbon campaign was a direct result of a massacre of 14 women by a lone gunman in Montreal, Canada, 2 years previously. The White Ribbon gathered momentum in Canada. In 1999, the United Nations General Assembly declared November the 25th the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. The White Ribbon has become a symbol for that day, Mr. Speaker. But there is much more to the story about the origins of November the 25th. A story which is not well known in New Zealand. It is a story of the Mirabel sisters, Minerva, Petrea and Teresa, citizens of the Dominion Republic. Their story, which is over 50 years old, needs to be told. The three sisters and their husbands opposed the dictatorship of the day. Minerva became particularly passionate about ending the dictatorship and with her sisters formed a group of opponents to the regime, known as the Movement of the 14th of June. Within that group, they were known as the Butterflies because that was the underground name that Minerva was given. Mr. Speaker, two of the sisters, Minerva and Teresa, were incarcerated and tortured on several occasions. While in prison, they were repeatedly raped. The sisters, however, persisted in speaking out to the end to end the dictatorship. On November 25th, 1960, when the three sisters were returning from visiting their husbands who were imprisoned at the time, their car was stopped. The unarmed sisters were beaten to death and their car was pushed over a mountain to make it look like an accident. After the death of her sisters, the surviving sister Dede became active in politics, fighting for the rights and elimination of violence against women and to further democracy in the Dominican Republic. She brought up her sisters' children and founded a museum and library in the home where the three sisters had been living at the time of their death. She was determined that their memory live. Mr. Speaker, on December 17, 1999, the United Nations designated November the 25th, the anniversary of the murder of the Mirabel sisters, as the annual date for the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Mr. Speaker, November the 25th is in commemoration of the Mirabel sisters Minerva, Petrea and Teresa. The day, of course, has become well known as the White Ribbon Day and also marks the beginning of the 16 days of activism against gender violence. I'd like to pay tribute to these three women, Minerva, Petrea and Teresa, who because of their activism experienced violence while they were alive and ultimately violent deaths. I heard about these three sisters when I attended a women's empowerment conference recently in Istanbul, and I met Minerva's daughter, a member of parliament in the Dominican Republic. I was very moved by the story and I returned to New Zealand determined that these three sisters must be acknowledged in the part they played in November the 25th. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow New Zealanders from all sections of society will unite against violence in New Zealand. Today I'd also like to acknowledge the many cross-party groups in Parliament where MPs join together in a non-partisan way to work together for a common cause. The newly formed cross-party Commonwealth Women's Parliamentarians is one such group. I'm co-chair of this group along with Carmel Cipollone. I know that all members of our group will stand with me in the acknowledgement of the Mirabel sisters and the utter condemnation of violence of any form against women and children. Family violence in New Zealand is far too common, with 1 in 3 women reporting being abused by a partner in their lifetime. It is totally unacceptable. Family violence is not limited to any one gender, religion, culture or income group. And I would like to pay tribute to the many individuals and organisations who work in this area. I'd like to add I absolutely support the violence intervention program that is operating in our DHBs, where females presenting to our hospitals are questioned about family violence. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that many, many women are just waiting to be asked. Thank you.
Catherine Delahunty.
Mr. Speaker,